Hey guys, and welcome to Hoops Lounge Draft Edition. Tonight is the big night, 2013 NBA Draft. I want to go over, just before we get in there, my top 10 draft picks. Now, as everyone knows who's ever done a mock draft, these are brutally stressful because things change all the time. There's a lot of dark horses and obviously trades happen. So how we're going to cover it here is I'm going to go over the projected 1 to 10, see how they line up, and we'll see after the draft how my picks landed. At number 1, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers, so that obviously this is assuming they keep their pick. I have Noel going number 1. While Len is getting a lot of attention here, so is Porter. I think Noel ultimately is that best long-term scenario. He's athletic. He can block shots. He steals well. Good hands, good feet. I think next to Tristan Thompson is going to be that front court of the future. When we're thinking of the NBA going forward, it's a very small ball, I guess you want to call it, but a fast pace. Like, you have to have players who can do multiple things. And I think a front court of Tristan Thompson and Noel right now looks a little bit raw, but Tristan Thompson I can really see moving into an all-star type power forward, and then with a nice shot blocking Serge Ibaka type player, I think that can be a nice front court. You already have your backcourt in Waiters and Kyrie Irving, so I mean, I've heard some talk of maybe Oladipo going there, but then you'd be putting Waiters to the sixth man, which I know makes sense, but your front court, you still be relying a lot on Zeller and guys like that. So we'll see where they go, but I think it's Noel. With the number 2 pick, the Orlando Magic, I'm going with Victor Oladipo. I think he just makes way too much sense. If they can land Eric Bledsoe in this trade, we'll see. But I think Oladipo anchors that backcourt. I know they have a Afflalo right now. I think they'd have to move him. I don't think it's contingent because I think Afflalo would kind of be trade bait. But I think Oladipo is the kind of player they really want. They have a front court already with a lot of nice players, some 3-4s, Tobias Harris and Mo Harkless, guys like that. I think they're okay in that front court, so I think they really want to take a shot at the backcourt. And when you look at other guys like Macklemore and some of the point guards like Trey Burke, I just don't see the upside, and I don't see the guaranteed win that I do with Oladipo. With Oladipo, I think he's the type of player that you know what you're going to get. Kind of a worst case scenario, you're looking at a Tony Allen. Best case, I know a lot of people have been saying Dwayne Wade, but I think somewhere in between. Number 3, the Washington Wizards. These guys are sitting pretty because they have a nice backcourt already with John Wall and Bradley Beal. I think they take Porter. I think it's a safe pick. I think at that point, I think if Noel falls to them, it becomes a conversation. But I think Porter fits their system. He's going to go in well. He doesn't need the ball. Those are already 2 ball-dominant guards on that team. And I think Porter just adds that nice kind of talented glue guy, kind of your Tayshaun Prince, best case Scottie Pippen kind of world. I'm not going to put him on that level yet, but even if you draft a Tayshaun Prince, people are saying that's what he's compared to. I don't think that that's bad. Tayshaun Prince was a very key guy on those championship teams with the Pistons, and he played a big part with the Grizzlies, even though they didn't win. Number 4, I have the Charlotte Bobcats. I think this is where Len falls. I think Len goes to them. They need a big guy. They need talent. They drafted Kid Gilchrist last year on the wings. They're going to draft Len this year. I think because primarily when you look at their other talents, it's kind of at the power forward position, so they need a real center. I know they could go a lot of ways, but I think if it's not him, I think Ben McLemore has a chance here, but I think that's not a great pick on their part. I think they would be really tiny in that backcourt if they did that. It would just be kind of one-dimensional players. I wouldn't recommend it. So I'm going to go Len just because I think that's the best pick to go. With number 5, we have the Phoenix Suns. Again, another team sitting pretty, and I think they go to the Great White North with this pick and get Bennett. I think Bennett's a great pick for them. At number 5, because we've been talking about this guy, he might even go number 1. I mean, he has so much talent, bit of an undersized power forward. Don't really think he can transfer his game to the 3. But, in a Sun system, when they're rebuilding, he'll get a lot of shots, opportunities. He's very ready with an NBA body. I think he will have a chance to shine. And being in Phoenix is a little bit nice. He won't have all the pressure he would in a bigger city. So after that, we have number 6. We have the Hornets. I was going really back and forth on this one because they already have Davis and they already have Rivers. Rivers to me is a 2. He's not a 1. I don't care what you say. So to me, the smart money is picking up a guy like Trey Burke, who who can man the 1. Move Rivers over to the 2. There's your backcourt of the future. Makes enough sense. I think there's a lot of picks that could go on here. Michael Carter-Williams or C.J. McCollum. But I think they go point guard ultimately. It depends. You kind of got to pick your poison, but I think they go with the pedigree in Trey Burke. I think he just is a little bit more steady right now. And the other guys, I think, have more upside, but I think Burke lands there. The Kings, I think this is an easy pick. They go C.J. McCollum. C.J. McCollum, one of the older players, really had a stellar career. If you watched any of his interviews, really heady guy, really intelligent. I think that's what they need. They need a bit of maturity at that point guard position for a team, especially if you're going to hang on to DeMarcus Cousins. The Pistons, if this draft goes as I'm predicting, the Pistons love this because the Pistons get to pick at this point between Michael Carter-Williams, who would be fantastic next to Brandon Knight, who they want to move to the 2, and what better move to do than pick up a big point guard, or Ben McLemore. Although Ben McLemore with Knight, I think is a bit repetitive. I think they move Knight if they get back McLemore, but I think ultimately they'll go for Williams because it takes their talent and fully utilizes it. It allows them to keep Brandon Knight, give them the point guard, back and forth. I think that's a nice win. The T-Wolves, if this happens, are just flipping out because Ben McLemore has just been handed to them on a silver platter. And what did they need? A 2 guard. So then you'd have Ricky Rubio and Ben McLemore, which would be a fantastically fun backcourt. And let's not forget, if this happens in October with Hoops Lounge, if you want to win those tickets, you're going to come see these T-Wolves. Hoopslounge.com for more details. So if he lands there, I think that's a great fit. It's a small city, won't have too much pressure already. Some nice big names like Kevin Love, hopefully stays. So he can just kind of go in there. I think Ben McLemore, the best situation is one where he kind of goes in just one of the gang, or goes in with enough, personality being brought by his other teammates. I think if he's asked to be the star right away, I think they're in a bit of trouble. So that's a great fit. And rounding out the top 10 are the Trailblazers. I was going a lot of ways with this one. I had Pope, I had Adams, I had a bunch of guys, but ultimately I think Zeller falls here. And why that is because we're hearing a lot of rumors that LaMarcus Aldridge wants out of town. Tyler Zeller also is one of those guys that I really feel he can... Cody Zeller, sorry, I'm thinking of his brother there in Cleveland, is one of those guys who can really rise. Don't be surprised to see Zeller do a little better than I'm predicting here at number 10. I've seen him all the way up to number 3 in different mock drafts. So watch out for this guy. Skilled 7-footer. It's one of those, is his game going to translate to the NBA kind of questions. I think he'll do okay, but I think the Blazers at this point have no choice because if you're going to lose Aldridge, at least this is your backup plan and allows you to trade for another position. So some other names that are out of the top 10 who I think could be interesting, especially with teams like OKC and Dallas and Utah being there at the 12, 13, and 14, because those are playoff-bound teams. Well, hopefully in a few of their cases. But OKC, I mean, if this happens, a guy like Adams could fall to onto their plate. He's a project, but I think he's going to be special. I honestly think that Steven Adams out of New Zealand is going to be, I don't think he's going to be a star, but much, much better than people think. Great NBA body, great work ethic, and he doesn't have, the ego that would happen with going through the U.S. collegiate system. He played in New Zealand, came over here for a year at Pittsburgh, and the rest is history. So I think that's how the top 10 goes. We'll see after tonight. I wouldn't be surprised at all with all this talk of trade to have this totally blown up, but you know what? We got to do our best here at Hoops Lounge. So leave your comments and reach us anytime, Twitter or all the rest of the world, Facebook, and we'll catch you next time.